This video is part of a series of interviews with some of the parachute engineers, scientists, and developers who have been responsible for the most significant and advanced parachute systems of the last half-century, and was created by the Aviation Trail Parachute Museum in Dayton, Ohio. In June 2017, at the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics Forum, Charles Lowry, longtime deceleration researcher and member of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, interviewed Rob Sinclair about his work and accomplishments in the parachute industry.
Rob, tell me your name and your birthplace and where you live now.
My name's Rob Sinclair. I was born in Hitchin, Hertfordshire, in the United Kingdom, and I now live in Costa Mesa, California.
What was your education? Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Stevenage College and studied mechanical engineering.
How'd you ever get into parachutes?
When I was at school, there was if you wanted to get on, you wanted to get yourself an apprenticeship. So the big thing was when you were 14, 15 years old, you started surveying the local industry, and you start sending out letters to all these different companies saying, I want to be an apprentice with your company. And just down the road from me was a big parachute company, and I thought that'd be pretty cool to work there. And I sent them an application letter, and I got the job.
How old were you?
15.
Well, you've come a long way. Rob has started out as a 15-year-old gopher in a parachute factory, and he's now chief engineer at Airborne Systems. Where are the main places you have worked?
I worked in Letchworth, which is Leslie Irvin's first company that he started in the United Kingdom, and then about 20 years ago, a gentleman who will be interviewed here soon invited me over to come and help him for a couple of months, and that couple of months turned into 20 years.
So you've been in Orange County, California ever since?
Yes.
What are some of the best or most notable programs you worked on, and what you did on them?
Well, I was at when I first came to the United States, I worked on the Kistler K-1 program, which was pretty radical at the time. Bringing back a 53,000 pound first stage booster to the Earth. But I think some of the most notable ones is the probes that we sent to other planets and moons. So the Huygens probe landed on Titan in January 2004, and the Beagle2 probe that landed on Mars in 2003.
And you worked the parachutes on those programs?
I was lead engineer on parachutes on both of those programs.
You mentioned the Kistler program. That involved the biggest ringsail parachute cluster ever. There were six main parachutes, each, 150?
156 foot, yeah.
And when we would run a test at Yuma, we would carpet the drop zone with nylon. Huge parachutes.
Yeah, they were 18,000 square feet each.
Yeah. Tell us about the biggest technical challenges you've come across in your career. Things that really stumped you.
Wow, there's been loads of those.
Yeah.
Lots of those, and it's normally the biggest technical challenges are the people that design a vehicle that needs a parachute. Right? They design a vehicle, they know they need a parachute. They don't allow for a parachute anywhere in it, and they finally develop their spacecraft, their aircraft, or their payload or whatever, and then they call us up and say, hey, need a parachute now, I'd like a green one please, and it's got to go in here, and you look at it and say, well, it won't fit. And that's always the biggest technical challenge is how can you get all that parachute that they need onto that vehicle into that tiny little space they've given us.
You got any tales that stick out in your mind, something odd, strange, funny, important?
Plead the fifth on that one.
Well, tell us about the parachute that landed on Mars that was not discovered.
Yeah, so Beagle2, they lost contact with it when it touched down
On Mars?
On Mars, and for, I think it was...
So it was considered a failure?
It was considered a failure, but the failure was blamed on the parachute system. And for years and years and years, you know, I was the lead engineer on that parachute system, and it was that parachute that stopped that thing from working. Well, last year, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's got a wonderful experiment on it called the high-rise camera, and it's this high-resolution camera, and they took some photographs of the landing site, and people who worked on Beagle2 over the years have constantly been poring over pixel by pixel that, and they eventually found it. And they found out that it was a solar panel that hadn't deployed and was covering the high gain antenna, and that's the only reason why we couldn't talk to it. So I'd really like to meet the guy who designed the hinge on that thing.
And your parachute was found in the picture.
Parachute was right next to the
Right
probe,
where it should have
and right where it should have been, and it turns out it worked.
What was the proudest moment in your career that you did something? Was that it?
Oh, there's been lots of them. I think the proudest moment was receiving the Knacke Award.
Oh, yeah.
In 2015.
2 years ago, Rob was awarded the Theo Knacke Award, and this is the highest award in the parachute industry. It's awarded every 2 years, and Rob was a recipient, and he well deserved it. What people did you most enjoy working with, and who did you most admire in your career?
The person I most admire in my career, most people haven't ever heard of in the parachute industry. It was a gentleman called Robert Fost. He was the most fantastic engineer. He sent me home in tears many a day when I was an apprentice, but boy did he care. He really, really cared and made sure that I did everything to the utmost attention to detail, and he made me who I am now.
Well, that's great. Also, in the industry itself, you have known for many, many years many people like Phil DeLurgio and Ben Tudd, and it's a real community, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That sticks together. What was it like when you first got into the field?
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, when I first joined Irvin, it was really old school brigade. You know, I mean, we had squadron leaders and that kind of, ex high up military people that were in the company, that were the leadership within the company, and they're all scary. You know, they all wore a 3-piece suit every day to work. You know, they all smoked cigars and drank brandy at their desks and had the mahogany lined offices and would shout and holler and scare the life out of us apprentices. There was a bunch of us. You know, I mean, there was Sidney Jackson and Stan Birch, Gordon Eastley, all these guys were, and that's what it was like. Very regimented. You wore a suit and tie to work every day. If you didn't wear a tie, you were sent home. Go and get one. Yeah.
Well, how about how you did your job, or how people did their job in that day when you first broke in?
Well,
versus how it's done today.
Well, when I first worked for the company, we all sat in a big long line. We all had our desk. Everyone's desk was the same. We all had a drawing board next to our desk, and everyone's drawing board was the same. We were in a big long line. Everyone smoked cigarettes, and we sat there. It was very formal, very regimented.
Did you use slide rules?
Oh yeah. I didn't get a computer. I was 15 years in my career before we got a computer to share between 10 of us.
No, yeah. What important parachute innovations have you seen or participated in?
Well, we've seen lots of work done with new materials, new manufacturing methods. We used to have, old chaps cutting out fabrics with pairs of scissors and cutting around these, cardboard templates. Now there's a laser machine that's whizzing around, and sparks are flying, smoke's pouring out these things, and these perfect parachute panels come. So the production engineering that's gone into the field now is amazing. The new innovations in in the analysis techniques that we use, fluid structure interaction, finite element analysis is, it's way beyond when I started.
How about in the design of the canopy itself? Has that progressed?
It certainly has, yeah. I find when you get new people come along that are unencumbered by, heritage, and they start thinking, and I'm a great believer in, whether it's a good, bad, or indifferent idea, letting young folks run with their ideas and try new things, and you'll find that will pay dividends. That you might get 9 crazy ideas and then 1 brilliant idea, out of, because they've never been told what's the wrong way to do it.
Well, what kind of a breakthrough or innovation would you like to see most now, at this point?
I'd like to see more use of the new ultra lightweight materials that are available, that a lot of the old guard are terrified of because they're so new, and I think that's the future of our industry, that we're going to see. It's going to go ahead in leaps and bounds over the next couple of decades, without a doubt.
What lessons has your work life taught you, your work life?
Biggest lesson is prepare for the future, right? It's the future. We all know that you start off your career and you think, I'm going to be at this forever, and before you know it, here you are, 50, 60 years old, and you're closer to retirement than you were to being hired. And what that's taught me is that you've got to invest in the future, and these young kids that are coming out of college now is where the future's at, and you need to encourage that. You need to let them go out and do their stuff. You need to let them make mistakes and learn their own lessons. But you have to do that in a guarded sense. Is that if they're going out and they're going to make a really big mistake that you've made in the past, right? You might want to caution them.
Tell us about your immediate family, Rob.
Well, I've got a wife and 2 teenage daughters that now have kind of transformed me from a living, breathing human being into a walking ATM machine. So that's pretty much it. I've got two beautiful daughters, great wife, and
how old are they?
13 and 16.
Now, when you came to this country, did you have family coming with you?
No, I was on my own. I just bounced onto I was asked to come on the Wednesday. I bounced onto a plane on the Saturday.
Did you met your British wife here in this country?
She's actually from Belfast, so I wouldn't call her British,
okay.
Chuck. If you ever come round to my house, don't mention she's British. She's Irish as far as she's concerned.
So how'd you meet her here?
Well, obviously at a Guinness festival in San Jose, California.
Okay. Well, tell us about what some big non-work lessons that life has taught you.
Big non-work lessons. I'd probably say that you have lots of buddies, but you have very few friends, and you should treasure those friends that you've got.
All right. What advice would you give to young people coming into this industry today?
Oh, don't do it.
You have many young people working for you right now,
right,
as chief engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So what direction do you push them, or how do you encourage them or advise them?
Well, as I said before, that one thing is let them go out and make their own mistakes, and it's terribly hard sometimes to step back and watch them go, that's going to be a failure, but I can't just tell them it's going to be a failure, because they've got to find out for themselves. If they're going to kill themselves in the process, yeah, I'll certainly step in, but it's delve into it with all your heart, and go read everything that's out there, right? Go find out all the things that people have done wrong and done right in the past, and that's really important. That's why this type of thing is really important, so that these young folks can go out there and see what's been done right, what's been done wrong in in the past, and let that guide them.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here today. Is there anything you'd like to add, or anything you'd like to say to add to what we've covered here today? You've been highly successful in your business, as we pointed out, coming from an apprentice to a chief engineer, and you got a long way to go, and parachutes have a long way to go. What might you add? What thoughts? Any?
Just stick at it and pay attention to the details.
Thank you, Rob.
The Aviation Trail Parachute Museum in Dayton, Ohio, tells the story of the development of the freefall parachute from its invention at Dayton's McCook Field after World War I through the vital role the parachute plays today in the decelerator industry and safely landing spacecraft. The museum includes interactive exhibits, artifacts, historic photographs, and films. Aviation Trail Incorporated has developed a self-guided tour of select aviation-related sites that are open to the public in the Dayton area. Aviation Trail's mission is to preserve and promote the Dayton area's unique aviation heritage, beginning with the invention of the airplane by Wilbur and Orville Wright. Find out more at aviationtrailinc.org.